Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Well, this is probably the last segment before the last segment. In other words, the segment before the last segment of our series that I've been trying to put together for your use and review. So on this segment we want to talk about a few things. The first thing that we want to talk about, we want to focus a little bit about the role of mind and the power of mind and the influence that it can have on us. And sometimes this influence, when it's used by us purposely, it needs no explanation and there's no wonder and we will not be confused. But when it actually goes on and goes on a malfunction rampage and uses this ability by going to tangents that it is not of our choice or interest, then we don't focus on the fact that mind can make these sort of influences on us, and we should be aware that it can. It has that power of making us delusional or feel in a certain way that it's so real that we actually might believe it. So knowing that the mind has this power, then it should put us at ease that we're not supposed to believe that every time the mind makes us feel a certain way, because when we are using it as a tool and we direct it to result in a certain unbelievable results, then it would be okay because we are doing it. Just as we are doing it, we should also anticipate that it can go rogue and do some things, and just because then we find that also, wow, believable because it makes us feel a certain way, we shouldn't fall for it, because that was not something that we purposely instigated. It is a power that the mind has, but we shouldn't fall for it because it can have that kind of a real feeling to it, to the point that I'm going to show you an exercise about the power of mind and how it can be manipulated in order to make changes to our physical reaction, to even things that are accepted day to day that is impossible to change. For example, nobody can expect a bigger physical strength or power not to be able to lift a smaller physical object, because that's the rule of this planet. Any bigger power should be able to lift any smaller mass. But on this exercise that I'm going to show you, you will see that mind has certain powers that can make certain rules change in actuality. But yet when these exercises are being done not with our direction, and mind could sometimes go rogue and make certain things to feel so real that we could get confused and say, oh, because we had nothing to do with it, then it must be real. No, it's actually within the power of mind, but the mind has gone malfunctioning on its own, like a robot that is no longer listening to the master programmer and it's just gone rogue. It doesn't mean just because it's gone rogue, now it's reality or actuality. You just got to be mindful of it, that what is happening, that this seems to be influence you as if it's real, but it is not. Don't be fooled and be mindful. And for that, I'm going to show you an exercise of the power of mind. Just stay tuned for that and then come back to the video. But we too, like the iceberg, have 1,000 times bigger powers that is not visible, and we must. Why? Is it something we're rambling on and I expect you to accept it? Or is there actually another power within us? Would you come and help me out? Okay. What I want you to do is put your hands underneath my arms and just lift me up. There we go. Okay, now, that's my physical part, right? Same thing, again, with that. Just want to see if there's any difference. Go ahead. Now, go ahead. Now, this, go ahead, when you're ready.
Go ahead.
So you see, this is different than what he was doing, and I'm not really doing anything. You convinced?
Yeah.
So are you guys convinced that there is something other than, thank you.
Yeah, no
Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this little demonstration to see how mind can also can influence us to the point that if we didn't know that it has this capability, we would actually think, wow, this is out of this world, this wasn't manipulated, this is the fact, this is the actuality, this is the truth. But we can use these abilities and create certain things that didn't exist before, but that doesn't mean that is the nature of things or how it always is. We just use that power to make something that was never there. The feeling, the influencing of what you're going through, it's pretty much the same, in the same line as the mind power that is using its power in a malfunction setting. So let's go to the next subject, because that already probably gave you something to think about, that not everything that you could feel is actually true, because it can be manipulated and you have that power to make things feel true, to the point that you can actually change the law of gravity. So now let's go to the next section that I wanted to talk to you, and that is about when these when you are thinking about certain things, you notice that it seems like there is another entity that is watching what you are thinking. You've all noticed that when you're thinking, something is judging your thoughts within your head, but you think that what is judging your thinking is not your thinking, it's outside of you, looking down and judging what you're doing or saying or thinking, as if it's a watcher of your thought. So ask yourself, who is actually watching what I'm saying? Who's actually watching what I'm thinking? Who's actually aware of the thought that comes to my mind? You do have that. Either you think it's a deity, something outside, or which is actually your own thought, or you're aware of the fact that your thoughts are watching your thoughts, right? Think about it. You know that, you all experience that. You have this dialogue sometimes that, oh, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking this? Okay, what is that thought that is actually saying these things, or watching your thoughts, or judging your thoughts? Let's call it let's call it the watcher or the controller. So if we have a watcher somehow that we are aware of it, it always watches and is aware of what we are thinking and judges it and gives us some opinion about it, because it is watching what we are thinking or what we are intending. So it makes a judgment on it and kind of gives us, little nudges, clues here, and opinions. And we're aware of it, that this other thought is actually making comment on our thoughts, supposedly our thoughts, right? But we've kept them separately, like this, the watcher. So the question is, when these intrusive thoughts show up, pop up as thought, as images, the watcher doesn't say anything. That thought that is always making a comment, an opinion on what you're thinking, is quiet. Why? Because that watcher is only concerned about what you are and what your thoughts are, not what thought or uttering of other people outside of you in the streets are. It doesn't make any comment or opinion about what they're about to say. It doesn't know what they're about to say or what they're saying. It just only makes comments about what you're about to say or about to think or thinking. It doesn't concern itself with something that is not you, like something that is outside of you, other people. Only concerned about something that is you. But when you have intrusive thoughts, transient thoughts, it also doesn't pay any attention or makes any comment. It's unaware of it, because it's not like it knows before you think it. It is unaware of it. Why? Because it knows automatically, the watcher knows automatically that this is not you, this is not coming from you. Therefore, there is no alarm about it before it comes up. There is no opinion about it. There is no awareness of it, and there is no judgment of it. It stays quiet because it is only concerned about what you think, what is you, and is not concerned about what is not within your command or within your choices or within your direction. It pops up and it knows it's not you, therefore it makes no comment. Because it only makes comment about thoughts that you are making, not thoughts that pop up, because it knows the thoughts that are popping up and are intrusive are not you. Therefore, it doesn't make any comment about it because it knows it's not you. Because it's the thought that knows everything about you, the watcher. And as you can see, when intrusive thoughts show up, the watcher is not saying, you just question, what was this? What does that mean? Does that mean I'm homosexual? Does that mean I'm gay? Does that mean I'm this or that? Whatever your gender is, the opposite of it, that is that you're being attacked with, and you question, what does that mean? That came to my mind. But the watcher, the thought that is always observing your thoughts, doesn't say anything because that thought knows this is not you, and this didn't come from you, and this is not concerning you. So it knows that only the things that is about you, it makes a comment. And you should know that thoughts that pop up, intrusive thoughts, transient thoughts, are not you, and you're not thoughts. They're separate entity completely. The other thing that you can focus on is that you, when these intrusive thoughts show up, have a dialogue with them. Like you debate them. You want to prove to them that you're not interested in this thought, in this lifestyle. This is not you. And you start trying to prove to them. So what are you proving, whatever it is you were trying to prove to? You always prove something to something or some entity that it is not you, because if it's you, there is no proving needed. So the fact that you try to prove it to something, to a thought, to an entity, that means you're trying to prove what you say, what you believe, what you're interested in, what you are or are not, to something other than you. That's what you prove to. Means whatever you're trying to prove it to is separate from you. That means you've already inwardly understand and accepted and is aware that what you're dialoguing with, having a dialogue with, it's separate from you, which means proof that it's not you, and you know it. Then what you're trying to prove something to means it's not you, it's separate from you. Then why would you think that it has anything to do with you? Something that is not you, is separate from you, has suggested something that naturally doesn't have anything to do with you, because you're trying to prove it outside of you. If it was you that would represent you, that thought, you wouldn't try to prove it or discuss it or debate it with anything, because that was you. But you realize it's not you. That's why you're trying to prove it, which means you know inwardly that what it is that popped up, intrusive thought, transient thoughts, it's separate from you, which again, that is not you. You are not thought. A thought is not you. Now, if we go to our next section, which perhaps these brings your attention to the role of these things and identifies for you that you should not doubt yourself, because these are irrelevant thoughts. They're just thoughts that appear and have nothing to do with you and should not bother your mind and your energy trying to find out what it is. You know, look, when you have, and these concerns come to people who are very perfectionist, and they can't tolerate any deviation, any doubt of any kind about what is most important to them. And what is most important to them is sexuality of them. That's how they identify themselves with. And they have no tolerance of anything attacking it. So they're overly protective of it. And their fight and flight system is overly alert if something tries to attack something that is the most important thing to them, which is their heterosexuality. And that's why you're so sensitive. These are die-hard heterosexuals. And because you're die-hard heterosexual, you're overly focused and sensitive about all your radars are there. What's about to attack, what wants to attack. I gotta shut it down and make sure that there's no doubt, because I am alpha, I am perfect. And not even a single thought should dare to come about this subject, because that is me. And so you go overly sensitive about this rather than allowing thoughts to be there. Thoughts are part of humanity, part of life. It's like frequencies of information that is all over the world, and people have television sets and radio sets that they can receive these images or these programs from far above that has nothing to do with them, but they have the ability, their TV or receivers, radio receivers, have ability to receive this. But when it does receive, shows on the screen of their TV, or they hear the music or program of it on their radio, that doesn't mean they produced it. That doesn't mean that that TV or that radio or you had anything to do with the production of what it is that is being received. It just means you have the capability of receiving it. And so these thoughts are just like that. And our brain is like that receiver. It has a capability of seeing images and receiving these frequencies, and it's not supposed to be a point of reference for you or concern, because this is part of your ability. And these thoughts come and go, and you should allow them come and go and observe them. And you don't like the channel or the program on the radio or the TV image that you're receiving, you change the channel, or you let it be and you do your own thing, and just understand that this wavelength is all over, and okay, I can receive it, but it's got nothing to do with me. I'm just having that capability. If you think that way, you allow thoughts to come in. You don't be overly sensitive, and just do your thing, focus what you're doing, and that's in the background could be there, and eventually you'll get tired and say, okay, nobody's watching me, and we call it a night, and then just they fall by the wayside, or you shut down the TV, or you just do your thing and let it run until the program goes off. And that will happen. Eventually it'll all clear up. But stand your ground. Don't get confused. Oh, there's a program, so that program describes me. No, it's a program. It's got nothing to do with you. You had nothing to do with producing it, and it's just there because you have the ability to receive it. And that's what humanity and our powers are. We receive these informations, and we have that capability. And the other thing that I wanted to discuss with you, it's like have to understand that the brain doesn't understand anything, the difference between reality and fiction or illusory. It has the capability of feeling things and sensing things and reacting to things, whether it's real or not real. Like if you go to a movie, you see a movie, you know it's a movie, you know it's not true, but you get scared, but you get reactor, you sweat, or you get bothered by a scene if it's violent or not, and you feel as if it's real, because through the sensories, through the eyes, through the information, through the words, they all mean something. They create a certain kind of scenario, and the brain is processing it, but it doesn't have the capability to distinguish between real or fiction, illusory or actuality. it reacts to whatever information comes in there, however it comes in there. But although you know this is a movie, but you still react to it as if it was real. You get scared, you get frightened, you dream about it later on, and all these things are a part of what brain does. It's not going to distinguish anything. That's how it reacts. But in the movie, you accept it, but when it is a thought or intrusive thoughts, you think, oh, it must be real because I reacted. Well, you reacted in the movie too, but you are clear that it's not real, even though you reacted as if it was real. But in your thought, you say, oh, I reacted as if it's real. Well, if you focus on anything, you will think that it's reacting even though it's not reacting. For example, if you focus on your genitalia, you might think, oh, there's a movement there, but there was no. But your thoughts, oh, was it or was it? Who cares? You're supposed to focus on the fact that this is a capability of human being. You focus, you put your mind to something, it can create a certain effects, but that effect does not have any scenario with it. It's just how it works. Like the exercise that showed you. You think a certain way and certain reaction to the point of even defying gravity, or defying the law of this earth, the bigger power lifting the small power, changes. So you should understand these are part of the planet that we live on, part of our mind power, part of the tools that we have to use them in the right way. And sometimes it could go rogue, like a bulldozer that was left on and the driver came off and it just was in the gear and started going and destroying here and there. It doesn't mean that it was meant to. It just has to be stopped. Somebody got to switch it off. And sometimes it doesn't switch off, even though the driver did switch it off, but it came back on because it has a malfunction. So I don't want to go too much into that. You can use your imagination and come up with things. So it is. Sometimes it seems like when it comes to your sexuality or thoughts and head, you have a difficulty to be logical about it and fair about it. For example, it is very clear to you if you're eating something physically and it's not palatable, it's very clear to you that I don't like it. I'm not interested. For example, I don't know, something that you don't like. Think about something you don't like. For example, raw turmeric. If you put raw turmeric in your mouth, you're going to say, well, I don't like this. Very clear. But you're not going to say, oh, maybe I like it. That's why I don't like it. Maybe I feel this way, but it has another meaning. Even though I'm about to throw up, and I know I'm not interested in this, but maybe I am. I'm just in denial that I'm not interested. But you don't have that when you eat something and you're clear that I didn't like it, I'm not interested, that's the end of it. But when something like that comes to your mind and your mind reacts, you say, oh, that reaction might mean that actually I'm interested, but I'm reacting not interested. Why did it come at all for me to show that I'm not interested? And the fact that it's there, that means I'm interested. Like the fact that the turmeric is there, that means I want it. Lots of things are there. But when I have a feeling about it, when I have a reaction to it, I don't question that reaction. It's like if I hit my head to the tree and it hurts, it's very clear for me. I shouldn't do that. I'm not interested. But it's like saying, well, I hit my head to the tree and it has a little buzz. Maybe that buzz means I liked it, but I know it hurt. I didn't like it, but maybe the buzz has a different meaning. No, it's very clear. I don't doubt it. I didn't like it. I'm not interested. I'm gonna, protect my coconut. I'm not gonna hit it to the wall or to the tree. But when intrusive thought comes, and you're not interested in that, you're disgusted or you're disinterested, and it's clear for you, and you say, but the fact that I reacted to it and I have an anxiety toward it, maybe that anxiety means that I actually like it or could be turned into liking it. Why are you making it so stupid? It's no different than simply because OCD and these sort of thought is a doubting mind disease. You have to understand that. The reason you have all these things in your mind, and it's not as clear as when it's a physical reaction to something you eat or you hit your head to the tree or wall, is because you clearly feel a physical evidence and witnessing it, and right away it's clear to you. You don't doubt what is actually hurting you. But there is no pain, physically pain feeling in the thought process when intrusive thoughts comes in and you're not interested in it. When it's an intrusive thought, there is no physical pain to your brain to tell you, oh, it's clear, I don't like it. It doesn't work that way. The fact that you react to it clearly that is against your lifestyle and how you've been living, your history and what you know about yourself and what you know you're interested, have been interested, that should be enough. But you don't stop there. Why? Because this is a doubting mind disease. If you understand that this is a doubting function that makes you go through all these tangents and thoughts and so on, and so to speak, being influenced or questioning it all the time, is because it's a doubting disease. There's nothing wrong with your clarity about your clear understanding that what you are or are not interested, and that you love what you are, how you are, and all these are annoying to you. There's no doubt about it. But then you doubt that because it is a doubting disease. It's not that there is anything change in you or could ever be change in you. Remember that you should be mindful and protect who and what you are and have been, because if you don't have a protective system, all these attacks constantly would come, and it's like you're walking in the street and you don't defend yourself, and there are rocks thrown and people kind of punch you and so on, and you say, oh, maybe I like it. No, you gotta have a defensive system, you know, just move away or you push them away and all that, then you protect your physical being, like we talked in the other video, that if you are in some kind of a, I don't know, jungle or a wilderness, you create a shelter, roof and walls to protect yourself from wild animals, elements and so on, protect your body. And we have to have a certain way to protect our identity, what we believe, and that is our core belief, who we are, what we are, and we have that clear to us, and that decision, how we've lived, how we've been born, and the process of it, what we are, and we stick to it, and we never allow anything to attack it by believing in it, protecting it, and not deviating from that just because a thought or a suggestion showed up in my mind. It's like somebody trying to beat me up in the street, and I say, oh, well, you know, it showed up to beat me, let it beat me. No, I got to defend myself. So you got to have a defensive mechanism to protect your being, how you're put together, what your gender is, and not deviate from it because a suggestion or somebody uttered something about you against what you are, or a thought, intrusive thought appeared and tries to bamboozle you. Don't be fooled. Be mindful of that. So on that note, you just always remember that you dream, and dreams make you sweat and fearful, and you wake up and you say, oh, it was a bad dream I was dreaming. And that's the end of it. But when something shows up in your head, intrusive thoughts, why is it they just don't say it was a bad thought? Just like you accept a dream to have been a dream and you're over it, you say it was a bad dream. A thought can also show up and has nothing to do with you, and you just dub it bad thought and focus on your life and be happy and have your balance back where it belongs. Hope that was helpful to you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.